Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
Good afternoon. What is up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, January 26th, and this is another edition of Blinkers Off. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Good to be back. It kind of feels like, even though racing never stops, this weekend feels like the official beginning of the racing season, doesn't it? I mean, with the Pegasus and the big event, and you get right out of the Pegasus and you go back into the Derby Trail, and it really heats up. So, one of my favorite weekends of the year. I've loved the Pegasus since the start, and I'm excited for it again this year.
Yeah, because it's like after the Pegasus, you have however many weeks until the end or April where it's like a Derby prep basically every weekend, and of some sort. And obviously, you kind of take a pause. You have a little bit of action. We'll talk about that a little bit later as far as the Triple Crown goes, or at least the horses on the trail. But you kind of take a pause, the Pegasus, and then you get right into, like you said, Derby Trail stuff. I mean, you blink and it's going to be, May. So, it helps that you have, like, this year, it's just really like the card at Gulfstream Park is like, maybe is lacking like the major stars. We'll see what comes out of the Pegasus, I guess, but it's really good betting races across the board.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I love everything about it, really. I mean, that we were down there when Arrogant and Gunrunner and horses like that won, and it was exciting as hell. I'm not going to downplay that. That was super exciting. But there's something to be said for, hey, there's not like superstars, but there's a lot of really good horses on the card, and it's better for the betting. I mean, you look at some of these races, it's like, man, this is going to be tight. It was, to see who wins this thing. This is going to come down to the little details of the race, and you're going to get prices on the horses as long as you're hitting the right ones. So I really love it. I think it's a great card, and I think it's going to be I really think it's going to be a good day of racing. Like I said, Arrogant and Gunrunner aren't there, that's for sure. But there's still some that maybe could be up and coming stars.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of depends on how you feel about the races. But even if you want to go to like the Grade 2, Filly Mare Turf, Pegasus Turf, like it's a $500,000 race and it's wide open. Like it's literally wide open. It's like, so how often can you get these Grade 2s, $500,000 races, even the $1 million races, $3 million races, where you're still like, I don't, it's like. Yeah, there's not the Gunrunner. There's not the Arrogant California Chrome. There's not like these which is always in some worlds is super fun, right? When you have those like this matchup, or even if it's just one horse, But these kind of scenarios, especially like if you want to say Tappan Street versus Disco, like we don't know what those horses those are two kind of untapped horses in a lot of ways, and they could potentially be those kind of horses down the road. So that makes it fun too. And to me, I mean, I love both, right? But if you're going to have a year like this, sign me up, because I love some of these horses in these races. And I think that we're going to see, I don't know, we're going to see something weird for sure. At least one of them that's racing, but I do think we're going to see something big out of the Pegasus.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope you're right. I think you're right. I will say that. I think you're right on that too. And I think when this day was formed, this isn't exactly what they had in mind, but the Saudi Cup kind of hurt what they originally had in mind.
Yeah.
But I almost think it's still right there as something that's really, really good. Like, it just, to me, it's always been a really fun day, whether you have the wide open races or whether you have the stars, whether you have a little bit of both. We've had that as well. So I just think it's still really, it feels like it's very meaningful. It feels like there's a lot on the line every year. It's a beautiful day. It looks like it's going to be as well. So that's always good when we get nice weather. So I just think it's going to be a really fun day. And look, I mean, I think the races are hard, but I think they're also a lot of fun, and I think they're going to be very rewarding if you can get a couple right.
Yeah, screw you on the weather. I mean, I told you yesterday, I was like, I think I've changed my mind. I think I'm going now because, you're getting out of here Friday afternoon, and I think the snow hits here sometime right after that into Saturday. We're supposed to get a ton of. I mean, I think the whole country, or at least half the country, basically, let's say Kansas or Oklahoma, that area, and east, top to bottom, is going to get some sort of snow or ice. It feels like, as far as maybe where you're going is the only. I mean, honestly, I think some of the edges of Florida at least at one point, there were like some ice potential there. I don't know. I mean, obviously down where you're going, there's not, but it's all over. Everywhere, somewhere's getting snow or ice, feels like, this weekend. So you are exiting. I wouldn't come home if I were you. I would just stay until you can text me and be like, hey, are the roads clear yet? I'm like, yeah. Then you come back.
I may not have a choice getting back. We'll see what happens on that. It's interesting because, we connect in Charlotte, and it's like Charlotte's worried about ice. And it's like, oh, my gosh, that's a terrible airport anyway, as far as delays go. Can you imagine? So,
yeah.
Look, I think getting there is going to be fine. I think getting back might be an issue, but the good thing about it is I don't really care if we get back on Monday or not. So we'll be back eventually, and it'll be fine. But we're very lucky, because it's going to get bad, and everybody wherever, if you're living in those areas, just be safe out there, because it sounds like an historic type of storm in terms of just how many people are going to be affected. So hopefully they miss. Hopefully the forecast misses and it's not as bad as what they think. But yeah, it's a good time to be leaving Missouri, that is for sure, and a lot of other places. And I think 81 degrees is the forecast on Saturday, so we're going to take that and smile.
Yeah, Saturday here, just to rub it in, or maybe to. The high on Saturday here is 10 degrees.
Well, that's not very warm.
And the low is 3. On Sunday, it's 14 and -5 is the low.
I think it's 80 on Sunday.
It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be a rough one. And honestly, like, we went through a big ice storm when we were in college, and that kind of went back in forever ago, we'll just say. And we were out of power for weeks. My parents actually were out of power for almost a month because they lived kind of out in the country. But with the ice storm situation, the snow is one thing that's going to suck, but whatever, we can deal with snow. But it's that cold and that ice that a lot of the, like Tennessee and some of those areas, I think, are going to get. That could be really bad, and be like I mean, that they were talking like inch of ice, which it doesn't seem like a lot, but is insane when you think about. I mean, I know you're used to hearing an inch is big, right? But
right.
I mean, for ice, it's huge.
I would say if the ice projections are correct, and where they're calling for it, which is in the South, which is they're not equipped
they're not
for
ready
that.
for that. Yeah,
it could be brutal. Yeah, I hope that's wrong, but because that's not going to be good. That's not going to be good for anybody.
I read something about how they didn't used to, like, as far as buildings down south in like Texas, say, or those areas, like, they didn't make like the code here in Missouri, for instance, and especially up north, is like you can't have water lines on the outside, like on like exterior walls, right? Because obviously it gets cold and pipes freeze. But down south, that there was no like code for that to not be, where they would just put them wherever it was convenient, whatnot. Well, with how cold it's been here in the last several years, and these, like, that's a huge problem because obviously they're pipes freeze and break and all that stuff. And so, yeah, they're just simply not built for, like, we can withstand cold weather, especially, the more north you get. But down south, yeah, it can shut down, it can shut down homes, businesses, all that kind of stuff for a long time.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. Hopefully, like I said, it isn't quite as bad, but yeah, it could be interesting. And like I said, travel will be interesting on Monday, I have a feeling. So hopefully, everything goes okay. They're sending me emails like left and right, like telling me to switch my flights. I haven't done it. So
4 to 6 inches, man. Well, that's good. I guess it just depends on how much you've drank or what. I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it could be a variable at that point in your life, but
maybe it depends. I don't know. Well, I don't want to really go into more of that, but yeah. So if wherever you're at, I can't say really if most people that are listening, if you are getting the weather, stay safe, like Halterman said, and obviously, I will be hunkered in, snowed in with 2 little boys here, and I won't be getting anything done. So wish me luck. I really do wish I could trade places with you. Like it's gonna be like Hunger Games over here, trying to survive being snowed in. I have to figure out who I'm gonna get my alliance with, which boy. But all right, let's get to today's show because we got lots to talk about. Obviously, 3 Pegasus races. Where Halterman will be live, the $3 million Pegasus World Cup, the Pegasus World Cup Turf, and the Pegasus Filly Mare Turf. And then we're going to shift a little bit and take a look at a couple races, key races for this weekend for the Kentucky Derby Trail. There is the UAE 2000 Guineas, and then, of course, there's one other race we kind of wanted to highlight for you guys as far as potential Triple Crown type horses. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. Depends how Hulk. Well, all right. You might get some ED medication, man. Like,
I was gonna say, I don't. Man, I'm not gonna try to analyze it, but
then you can push through it. All right, we're going to kick things off here Saturday. We'll go to race 10. So we're going to work our way to the main event. Race number 10 is the Grade 2 Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Got up here on the screen. Field of 14 with the also eligibles. 12 will likely run. And I mentioned in the opening, Halterman, this is one of those races that anytime you've got a 9-2, 5-1 as your kind of your favorite, say, it's a wide open race. And we're talking, there's just no clear standouts. And while that can be frustrating, it also makes the race very fun to handicap.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great race. It's a great betting race. There's a billion different ways you can go here. Well, I guess there's only 12, but you could really go a lot of different ways. I just kind of kept going back to the number 11 in our time. So I'm going to put number 11 in our time on top in this spot. Just really think that this is a little bit easier race than what she's been facing. And I also think she's the lone speed in the race. I think she's faster than everybody else. I think if she breaks out of the gate cleanly, I think we'll get to the front. And I think it's going to take them a long way, all the way to the wire. So I kept going back to the number 11 in our time. I just kind of think all she's got to do is kind of beat the number 5 Classic Time to the punch and kind of get out in front of her. I think she's out by herself. I think she holds on this time. I don't love anything behind her. I do think there are a couple that make sense that could catch her, but I think she's going to get the best trip, and I think she's going to get the job done.
How concerned are you? I mean, I'm sure you are somewhat concerned about the distance for her because she has been now again, she's won at the distance and she's ran it 4 times. She's won once. Never really has ran too poorly going this long, but I did kind of pause because it's like, this horse has since, for really most of the year has been running at a mile or less because I kind of felt like, well, that's where they've honed in on her. And then now she's running, a mile 16.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a concern. I would start with that. I do think it is a concern. For me, I think she's better going this distance than she is going a little bit shorter, just because I just think she can use that speed to her advantage a little bit more. You look at the race where she went 5.5 and 6, they were a little bit closer to her early. I know she did win one of those races, but when you stretch out, I think she can get a little more distance between her and the field. And I think that's kind of the key. I think for her to win a race, she needs to turn for home and be a length or 2 ahead. I think then she can kind of hold them off. And I just look at it and go, look, if you can set the pace going 5.5 and now you're going long, you're going to have a comfortable lead. Just your natural cruising speed is going to get you out there. And then it's a matter of, okay, who's behind her and how fast can they close to get her? I'm worried about one horse in particular, but past that, I don't love much in this race. So I think she can hang on this time.
Well, she loves Gulfstream Park. There's that for sure. And so I think that has benefited her a lot. Obviously, like you said, ran well in this same race last year. Yeah, I think the horse that you're referring to, because I know your picks, that you're kind of at least most concerned about beating or maybe getting to her is the 8 Proctor Street, and 12-1 morning line is insane. We won't get that, but love looking at it anyways. And this is a horse who we know loves this distance. 5 starts at the distance, 4 wins, and 1 second. Listen, this horse, I mentioned that your horse that you picked, a horse that has been running shorter. This is a horse who they've wanted to do nothing but run long. And she's been very, very good at it. Brendan Walsh trained T-Gaff back aboard here. And this horse has won 3 of her last 4. Now, again, not, she hasn't won a graded stakes race. This would be her first graded stakes. But she's ran in listed stakes. She just got done winning at Churchill Downs in the Cardinal. She won at Keeneland. She finished 3rd at Saratoga and then won at Saratoga earlier in the meet. So it's not like this horse has been running at, Delaware or something. For Brendan Walsh, very well bred and very has been running in all. This feels like a fitting race, and it's not like, let's be honest, this is a Pegasus race, but it's not like it's probably that much different than the Cardinal, right? As far as like that kind of level, I think she can win. I think the pace is going to set up great for her, and again, a horse that I feel like you can trust. It's going to make her run. I can't believe she's 12-1 on the morning line.
I can't either, and she's not going to be. You handicap this without any odds. I thought she'd be the favorite or second choice in the race. No worse than third. No worse than third choice in the race. And you look up, and she's 12-1. And this is what I'll tell people. People kind of are like, it's a morning line. It's not that big of a deal. And this is the deal. Don't handicap this race and see 12-1. And then you get to the post and she's 4-1 and go, well, she's bet down too far. I don't want to bet her. Don't do that. And I think that's sometimes what a bad morning line can do to people. Is go, well, gosh, I can't bet her bet down like that. I wanted 12-1. You got to be realistic. And we're to the point now, if you're not playing at Naira, you kind of got to make your own line and make your own value line, right? I think at Naira, you could use the morning line and you're all good. I don't think you can anywhere else. And so, realistically go into this thinking about 5-1 is the best you're going to get on Proctor Street. Okay. Don't get discouraged when this horse, drops way down. And look, Jeff Bauer says guilty. A lot of people are. Okay. So don't just try not to do it, but it's hard not to do. Anyway, that's kind of I'm very annoyed by morning lines after last week and this week. But anyway, end of the day, this horse is very live. I think you made a great point. I think coming into this race is a perfect spot to put her in a graded stakes race, because this is not a bad race, but this is not a great race either. It's a lot of horses that look like Proctor Street, if not worse. So I think it's a great spot. I had this horse on top for a while, ended up flipping to the 11, but the 8 for me it looks very, very good.
Yeah, and I think too, what you said is great. It's a great point, but I also think you could flip it and say the other, like, if a horse has, let's say a horse you like before was bet too far of a morning line, maybe down to 3-1 or something. As far as the morning line goes, you're like, man, I thought I'd get like 6-1 on that horse, or whatever, and then the horse floats up to the 7-1 or something, because of a bad morning line, which we've seen, right? We saw that the other day in the Lecomte. And don't be like, oh shit, no one's betting this horse. That's a bad sign.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think it can work that way too,
Well, the Lecomte, just another example. I was getting text messages going, I can't do this golden tempo at 5-2. I was like, guys, he was never going to be 8-1. Never, ever, ever, ever. Don't think like that. If the morning line was 7-2 and he was down to 5-2, what would you think? You would probably be like, well, yeah, that's about right. You kind of assume, when you get a horse, and you're like, yeah, that horse looks pretty good. You can assume they're going to get bet a little bit, right? So that's like okay movement, but don't let these morning lines really discourage you, because it's just, these things aren't reality. And I don't know why that it's these last 2 weeks. I feel like it's been like this, but it has. But anyway, again, Proctor Street, I think the horse is second to third choice, and just get ready for that. But you made all the points that made sense. So
let's go through a few more. Obviously, it's kind of hard to sit here and be like, well, here's give me a horse that's another long. I mean, I just gave you a 12-1, which we know that's not going to be the case, but like, it's going to be hard to be sitting here and tell you what the odds will end up being because of the morning line being kind of rough. But I looked at the 3 for a little bit, and I do kind of like this horse. Tell me why. Top me off this horse, because the horse is 12-1 morning line, another 12-1. Brad Cox, Junior Alvarado does have the mount. Is been very good at the distance, 2 wins and 3 starts. She just ran at Gulfstream Park in her first start at Gulfstream Park last out and looked really good. And he'd been running her against some tougher races. Is that the case? Did the light bulb come on a little bit for her? She started off her career pretty well. What do you think of the 3 at 12-1?
Yeah, I can't talk you off of the 3. Destino d'Oro. Swords I kind of have liked for a while. I think she's kind of somewhere in between, and I'm not sure where. She's not a grade 1 type, I don't think. Is this race a low enough kind of grade 2 that she can win? I think she's a solid horse. I just think there is a ceiling to this horse, and that was kind of my worry here. You don't see Junior Alvarado on Cox horses very often. I thought that was very interesting. Only one time in the last year of these two guys, so I thought that was interesting. And Junior's got some mounts on Sunday for Brad Cox as well. So I thought that was interesting. Look, I like the 3 Destino d'Oro. I also like the 10 and One More Time. They exit out of the same exact race and they hit the wire, basically together. And One More Time finishes just a little off. I think there's more upside and more potential for improvement with the 10 than there is the 3. I kind of like the 10 more than the 3 out of that race. However, I thought the race was strong enough to compete here at this race as well. So I think either one of them, if you're looking for a long shot, I think they've got a shot.
Well, what's interesting about the 10, you're getting like massive value here. You're kind of, in some regards, with the 3, maybe depending on how it is bet, that horse has been bet a lot too. But with the 10, this horse has been the favorite in every start other than one, and that was in the Talma. Which, by the way, she won. But she's been the favorite in all her races. And then, has ran well in most of them. And yet you're getting 12-1 on her. Now, again, like, what's that mean? Post time we'll see. But it does feel like if you think there's upside, you're getting a square price.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give me another horse. I'll give you another horse, I should say, that I'm interested in I think could be a decent price. It's the 2 Heredia. I don't know how you say that, but I don't know. Like this one, I always get suckered in with Grand Motion horses on the turf. So I'll preface with that. But this is a horse that the last 2 starts when you look at the past performances, you're like, wow, this horse has been getting rocked. Now, not that long ago, this horse was getting beat by Inspiral. Dynamic Pricing beat this horse. This horse has been facing monsters. The last 2 grade 1 races got beat by AG Bullet in our time. The horse that's in this race. Now getting a little bit longer too, I think is going to be a key part for this horse. So I think going longer and maybe slightly class relief will put this horse in the mix.
Yeah, Motion is one I've always had a little bit of trouble getting right or getting wrong. Either way you kind of look at it. The last 2 races, they weren't great, but they were taking on a lot better horses. And I think comes in here today with a better shot to get the job done. I think it's a good spot. They tried to run this horse 8.5 in the Begay back in 2025 in May, and horse ran okay, got 3rd, beating a length. I mean, there's things to like. The biggest thing I think to like about the horse is the price. I think it's she's 8-1, and she's probably going to stay 8-1. So
yeah, that's one of those, the one where you feel like the price is probably close to. I think this is going to be a very overlooked horse.
Yeah. Well, and talking about that matriarch, of course, I'm picking In Our Time, who's coming out of it, got 2nd. Heredia 3rd, or was that 5th there. And I thought Breath Away was interesting, or Breathe Away, was interesting as well. Coming out of the matriarch, got 3rd. To me, kind of in a way, it looks kind of similar to the 11 and the 2 as far as facing a little bit better horses. but dropping down to face kind of a little bit weaker of a field. And for the last time we saw this horse in a grade 2 at Woodbine 3 races back was a nice win, won an ungraded stakes at Monmouth. The Goldikova was a really tough race on Breeders' Cup weekend. And of course, the Matriarch is always a really tough race to win. So I thought Breathe Away the 4 made a lot of sense as well.
Yeah, you and I have rattled off what six or seven horses here that all feel like can have a big shot to win this thing. So kind of gives you an idea of what the race is like. This is definitely as far as the three races or three Pegasus races, the one I feel the most wide open. We can see some weird results, but it also that's what makes it fun. And again, I don't know that there are some decent horses in those other two, obviously, and this is one where I'm not sure. Like I feel like, hey, if that horse wins, like this horse could be like the next turf monster for the. It just kind of feels like it's one of those races that is going to be fun to watch and fun to bet, but I don't know. As far as like star level power, I'm not sure. That's the thing. Like, imagine if I guess maybe it would have been $1 million race, but like, man, if any of these Euros brought just like their seahorse in, could have just dusted this field.
Yeah, definitely, especially in this spot. I even in the 12th. Yeah. I think a B level horse would have to go win the 12th. There is a horse I like there, but yeah, this race, it feels like, a European runner with a little bit of class would probably be 3 to 5 in this group. So, and I'm not sure why they're not here because they've been here more and more.
I know.
Talking about the United States, not just Gulfstream, but I don't know. That is kind of weird, but I would think for sure there would be some horses overseas that could win this race.
Yes, I did, Davey. It's like a I don't know. It's like ingrained in me now, and I do it all the time. Like I didn't even do it on purpose, but as soon as I said it, I was like, "Fuck," because I'll do it all the time when someone will be asking me, like, "Hey, like, how many you got left?" I'll be like, "I don't know, like 6 or 7. And not even doing. I used to do it like try to be cool with my boys, but now it just is like so like you just have a number that comes to your mind, like that's now the number. And I was told this morning that it's not cool anymore. So I can't. I'm trying to stop saying it. I said, well, I asked him. I said, well, what's the number now? And he said, me and I don't know, some friend of his like now it's 8-9. I'm like, okay, yeah.
What? Like, so it's done.
Yeah,
like 6-7 is done now.
Yeah, if you say 6-7, it's like they look at you like, what do you stop? It's not cool anymore.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, but now. I know. I used to like do it constantly. And my little boy Coop he's 6 now. He's turning 7 on Monday. So of course we've been having a heyday with that. It's like, man, you're gonna be 6 now. You're about to be 7, 6, 7. I was like, let's do a birthday party and all this stuff for it, like themed. He's like, nah, let's not do that. So
well, that's interesting. Okay, all right.
He's doing Stranger Things, by the way. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. But anyways. All right. Final thoughts of your pick here.
Yeah, I'm going to go number 11 in our time. I think can take him gate to wire this time. I really think it's going to get out there and get a decent enough lead. And I just don't trust fully what's behind her other than the 8. I think it comes in 11, 8, or 8-11. So give me the number 11 in our time on top.
All right. Give me the 8 Proctor Street on top here. I think the distance is just so perfect. Hits the horse right between the eyes. And this is a horse that you look at the buyers has consistently improved over pretty much a light career. Has only ran 8 times. 5 of those have been wins, including 3 of the last 4. So I think this horse is coming in the race as good as she's ever been. And again, the distance is perfect. T-Gaff, Brendan Walsh going to team up here. I don't know what price we're going to get. It's not going to be 12 to 1, but maybe we get half that. A dream, maybe 6 to 1 would be amazing. But yeah, give me the 8 Proctor Street on top to win the Pegasus Filly and Mare Turf. All right, let me pull up the next one. I don't know. What price do you think will actually get on those 2 horses? The ones we picked.
I think they'll both be around 4 to 1.
4 to 1?
7, maybe one's 3 to 1, one's 4 to 1, but I think they're both decent enough.
Okay. All right, next up is, what race is this? This is race 12 on the card. This is the Pegasus World Cup Turf, $1 million grade 1, of course. And we got a field of 12 in here as well. This one, I think you and I both have a little bit stronger opinion of. And of course, it kind of shows there on the morning line. Favorite 5-2 on the 2 program trading, 7-2 on Cugino. Really it's fairly wide open past those 2, but program trading, Pratt, Chad Brown, what do you need? A grade 1 turf race at Gulfstream Park. Those 2 teaming up can be tough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I don't know. I guess maybe I like this horse more than I should, but I really like the number 2 program trading in the spot. I think this horse is way the horse to beat. I think it's the class of the field. I think you can make excuses, certainly for the last race.
Oh, yeah.
Just got a horrific trip and got stopped. I don't know if program trading wins the race. Probably not, but I think it's closer for sure. 2 back, got beat by a really, really good horse and man, should have won it. Made up so much ground. 3 races back, was the first race off of over a year layoff. Should have won that one as well. So you back and look at when this horse was really good. Go back and look when this horse was winning the Saratoga Derby, the Hollywood Derby, winning the Turf Classic at Churchill on the Kentucky Derby undercard. That's a really, really nice horse. And I think there's some decent horses in here. I don't think it's a bad field by far. Just the more I looked at it, I thought program trading stood out in a major way. So I like the number 2 program trading quite a bit in this spot. And I just think this time around, you got Pratt aboard again. Just kind of keep him out of trouble. Get, and go get him. Let him go get him at the end. And I think he'll get the job done.
I mean, yeah, this let's talk about like kind of the performances. This horse has won multiple grade 1s. Also, this horse has ran 10 times and 6 of those starts were grade 1s. Like the biggest threat, at least perceived threat as far as the morning line goes, is Cugino. The Cugino's ran 1 grade 1 race on the career and I think finished like 6. I won't say 6th or 7th, but 6. And so I mean, this like a class alone, the 2 is a clear standout. And like you said, you go back and watch that Breeders' Cup Mile. Notable Speech ran awesome that day, and I loved going back and watching that replay because I obviously had a big bet on Notable Speech. Fun to see that performance, but brutal if you're looking at program trading because that horse was moving and tried to take a similar trip that Notable Speech got, and that hole closed up and just got slammed and stopped, and the race was over at that point. Now, I don't think the horse was going to win. I think she certainly would have made it close, but or he would have made it close. But yeah, I think you're gonna get a little bit better price here because of that performance, at least what it looks like. And the horse, let's be honest, hasn't won a race since May of 2024, and I think that is gonna hurt the horse as well as far as the betting goes.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that's kind of the thing that you pause with, or not. I'm not pausing with it, but the thing that you kind of, you just worry about a little bit is, like everything to me was like, this horse just kind of looks better, but it's the lack of winning. And it's the race 3 back, even though it was a long layoff, it's like, man, you should have got there. Donegal momentum beat him. And then 2 back, it's like, really good horse beat you, but I thought you were going to get there. So that is a little bit troubling. But again, you look at the horses that have been beating this horse. None of these horses program trading's facing are those kind, right?
No.
And so that's the big key. But you kind of look and go, okay, can the 8 Cabo Spirit kick away? And they can't catch him. Maybe the number 1 test score, can he kind of improve as a 4-year-old? I think maybe. Cugino's running really, really well right now. Maybe he's just in form and can beat program training. Yeah, possibly, right? But I just think program trading is a better horse than those of which I listed off. So it's just for me, I think program trading is just too good for this group.
Yeah, I think test score is interesting in here as well, Jeff. And I do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I looked at that horse for a long time from a pace standpoint, for sure. A horse that I think is the biggest threat to program trading isn't Cugino. And, we'll see what you think here, but it's a 12 Fort Washington at 10-1. I think this horse is super interesting. It's going to be a big benefactor of what the perceived pace is going to be here. And just has been just look at the workouts, this horse has been working like a monster. Hasn't ran since Kentucky Downs, or didn't run great, so I think they took a little time off. But going into that, won the Arlington Million. Had won multiple Grade 3 races going in, like this year or this past year. I guess that was in 2025, so last year. But yeah, I mean, this has been very formful horse, really most of the career, but it's certainly as of late until that last one at Kentucky Downs. And Kentucky Downs can be weird, but the biggest thing was for me is you got a horse that has ran at Gulfstream Park many times, has won at Gulfstream Park, not only won once, but has ran well for the most part at Gulfstream Park. Likes the distance. I think the distance is his friend here. So I do think if this pace is somewhat hot, Fort Washington could be coming up on the scene late. If for whatever reason the two can't get there.
Yeah, I like Fort Washington a little bit. It's funny, Fort Washington and Cagino, both for Shug here. They're kind of similar in the fact that they kind of used to be, they'll hit the board type of horses, but you never really thought of them as winners. But they both have been winning in bunches lately. Fort Washington's won 3 out of the last 5. Cagino has won 4 out of the last 6. So, they've been around. They've been around with a shot. I don't like the post position for Fort Washington very well. I think that is a little bit of a worry. He's not really quick out of the gate, obviously, but he's not like going to drop back to last either. So will he get hung a little bit in this race? Maybe, and that kind of worries you a little bit for a horse that I think needs to work out something really nice to win. I think he might be an on the board type of a horse, but like I said, Cagino and Fort Washington, both, they've really started to show that they can win races like this.
Again, I think for me with Fort Washington, it's purely if you think this thing, and I think the pace will be relatively, hot. And, if you think there's going to be some sort of meltdown, I do think that's the way the 12 wins. Not going to sit here and be like, hey, everything being equal, very fair race as far as speed. And, I think the 12 can get there. I'm not quite sure I'm there with that, but I do think the horse could get there if this thing does kind of collapse. And especially, you look at a horse like the 2 who we both really like here, but, look what happened last time. And again, a horse that has maybe been sometimes, a victim of his own, doings and as far as maybe getting in a bad spot or whatever. And hasn't won in a little bit. And even though the horse had rattled off, what was it, like 5 wins in the first 6 starts, this horse hasn't won since, and now obviously been running in tougher races. I think we can both agree to that, but still hasn't won. So if the horse doesn't get there, I think there could be a big price, and I think that 12 could be it if it collapses.
Yeah, no, I think you make a good point. Again, you are relying, at least we are relying on a horse that hasn't won in a while. And so you do start to kind of, your mind wanders towards other horses, and Fort Washington makes sense. A horse that's going to make me really upset if he wins is Major Dude, because
yeah,
I kind of thought he was at this level. And then I now it's like, no, he's not this level of horse, but he did run pretty well last time out, wind dropping. So Major Dude, that was a horse that would make me mad if he was to win this race. I do think he's not without a shot, right? I mean, he did run much better when they dropped him down. Maybe he got that confidence that he needed. Yeah, who knows? One Stripe is an interesting horse, getting the South African jockey up here after 3 starts in the United States. Without him, 2 Grade 1 losses, we didn't run very well, and then a electric looking allowance last time out for One Stripe. So maybe he's got confidence again. That's another
a horse that I didn't really include in a lot of things that pissed me off, because I do think this horse has got a shot. Is it again another maybe scenario where you need a little luck and a little pace been a factor, but it's the 5 Almaderas. This is a horse that's been running out west for Diamato and been very good out there, really, and it's been pretty steady most of the career. Now hasn't really had any huge breakthrough wins, although there was times where you thought this horse might be one of those kind of horses, but is a very steady horse. And if you do get the right scenario here, 20-1 is insane price. So I don't know that you're going to get 20-1, but this horse has never been like sub, like, I don't know, 6-1 or something, so you're going to get 20-1 seems quite a bit, but I think you're going to get, more than double digits, obviously. So there might be some value there if you like the 5 a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why that horse is 20-1. My problem with the Southern California horses that run on turf and then come over to the East Coast is it doesn't seem like a winning formula all that often. And so even though there's been a couple to kind of break through that, and there's been one in particular on this card that broke through that, it still just gives me a little bit of pause. I kind of prefer Cabo Spirit of the ones coming over, but look, Almendarez has been a hard knocking horse on that circuit for a long time, and now you're just changing over to here, and I'm skeptical how it'll translate.
Yeah, again, and that's kind of that's what's kind of, it's always fun when you bet those races out west, because you're like, especially like these kind of races, because they're always the same horses in them, Almendarez, Cabo Spirit, Astronomer, Call Sign 7, all those horses face each other, right? That's what they run against each other all the time, and they've kind of traded punches. Almendarez and Cabo Spirit have. I think Cabo Spirit has gotten a little bit of the edge more so, but they know each other and have ran against each other, and so you're kind of, it's tough because it's like, well, do I want to take 8-1 or whatever Cabo Spirit is when they've kind of traded punches, or 20-1 on this other one? Like, to me, if you are questionable a little bit about the West Coast horses in itself, like, take the bigger price, especially and also you don't having to deal with Mike Smith aboard.
Well, yeah, this is true as well.
That's right. He's been running since the 90s. That's true. When he was good. But all right, we'll get to the main event here coming up next. Halterman, give me your thoughts, final thoughts of this race.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the number 2 Program Trading. I like everything about him in this spot. I think this is like a spot just made for him to get a win. But it's time. You got to do it now. It is time to go do it. Hopefully you can. So yeah, number 2 Program Trading for me.
Yeah, this was as far as the 3 races go. This was the one where I was like, yeah, this is the one I felt the strongest about, as far as a kind of a most likely winner. I think the biggest thing for me, and I think it's scary to say that when you realize the horse hasn't won since the Turf Classic, May 2024. But this horse has only ran it 4 times since that race as well. So it's just been a hard knocking horse. It's been running well. It's like kind of one of those weird scenarios where it just hasn't broke through. But it's been running against good horses. It's been running well, just hasn't quite gotten the luck to get there. I think this horse's best race is much better than anyone else's in the race. So give me the 2 Program Trading. Going to be very tough. Chad Brown, Flavian Pratt, they're going to be ready to go here in this one. So yeah, give me the 2. I'm with you. Program Trading. All right, before we get to the next race, I want to make sure you guys know the Pegasus World Cup Betting Bible is available right now over at racingdudes.com. If you haven't done so, go over to the website. Check that out. We've got the picks ready to go. I uploaded it this morning, so everyone's got their picks in. John White, he's got his picks. We've got AI picks in there if you're interested in that. Halterman and I giving you play-by-play for exactly how to play. Whether you want to follow it to a T, whether you want to use our picks and sprinkle in your own stuff, that's fine as well. But we've got picks for every race on the card. Obviously, the 3 big ones as well. Pick 4s, pick 5s, our best bets. All those kind of things are all included there. Workout or pace scenarios, that kind of stuff. It's all included. Betting Bible is free. If you are a premium subscriber, you can get that as low as $70 a month. And we have a lot of betting Bibles. This is like the kickoff of the year. So we're going to have a lot of betting Bibles coming your way over the next several months, or you can get it for $39.95. So that's available right now over at racingdudes.com. All right, Halterman, let's go to the main event, and that is, of course, the Pegasus. Where's it at? Oh man, I uploaded the wrong one. Uh-oh. Man, I had that. I was so good. I had everything. I was like rolling through that. Is it this one?
Nope.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep. There it is.
There it is. And that's my first show. Let's go to race number 13, the final race of the card. That is, of course, the Grade 1, $3 million Pegasus World Cup. You can see it here finally on the screen. Field of 12 as well. That's the thing about these cards is like they're all full fields. You know, it's like what more do you want? Every race has got also eligibles. That's insane. Disco time 8 to 5. Flavian Pratt aboard here as well. Gets the mount for Brad Cox, and then Brad Cox also has Tapan Street, the 7 horse. Luis Saez aboard that one. It at least on first look, we'll start here. You're kind of like, all right, which Brad Cox horse am I going with? They both are, like I mentioned in the opening, they're both like sort of unknown. You got one regard, Disco Time is kind of the what would have been, what could have been, but the horse has never been beat. And then Tapan Street, kind of similar in a sense of what could have been, because he is the horse. Like every time you mention this horse, like, oh, that's the horse that beat Sovereignty in the Florida Derby. Yes, and that's his claim to fame. But he still has a lot to prove. So which Brad Cox did you go with here?
Yeah, this is I don't know what to make of this race if one of the Brad Cox horses or White Barrio don't win. It really feels like those 3 kind of stand out over the rest of them. I mean, you can certainly poke holes in those 3, though. White Barrio, is he over the hill or does he have one more big one left in him? That's kind of question with him. Tapan Street, I still am like, how good is he? You know, because again, the horse that beat Sovereignty that day, I mean, that was a good effort from Tapan Street, but that wasn't Sovereignty's best race. We know that. And, you know, Tapan Street's comeback race was good, but it wasn't flashy, but it probably shouldn't have been, you know, off that layoff. I went back to the number 1 Disco Time quite a bit, and that's what I'm going to put on top here, number 1 Disco Time. The issue with him is a glaring one. He has 0 class, and it's not really his fault, but he just hasn't ran in any big races. I mean, the LeCompte is the biggest race of his career, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong for him in that race, and he still won. The other 4 races have just been absolute blow you away type performances. The St. Louis Derby probably should have been that way. Let's be honest. Last time out on the Dwyer, it's not a graded 6 race, and it's not like that great of a race. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't just amazing. He made it look like just a laugher. And other than that LeCompte race, they really have never asked this horse to do much running. And they had to ask him that day because he was in the parking lot. And he was not on the camera once because he was so wide. I mean, and here's the other thing. He likes to sit, you know, second, maybe third. If the pace gets fast in this one, I could see him sitting like third. He likes to sit just off the pace. That day he was way out of it and still won. That LeCompte is the outlier of the 5 races. The other 4 have been carbon copies. Sit close, absolutely dominate 4 times. Horrific trip, everything went wrong, still won, wasn't flashy. How could it be? And then LeCompte, by the way, it was just a nightmare of a racetrack too that day. I think he's got a chance to be really special. And that's why I picked him. And I just look at this and go, yeah, he doesn't have the class. And maybe he shows up in a harder race and he just sucks. That is totally possible. I just kind of think he's got a chance to be special when I watch him. So I went number 1 Disco Time on top.
Well, you know, I love Disco Time. I obviously still have nightmares about what could have been with him in the fantasy league last year, because you're right that, you know, watching him and obviously, you know, picking him and having him in the league and the LeCompte, you're just like, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare. Everything that could go wrong is going wrong. And again, he was almost he was closer to the outside rail than the inside rail for most of the race. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like he is going to make a little bit of run. Like, oh shit, he's going to make it close. And then like, oh wow, he's going to win. And he did. And it was an unbelievable performance, and kind of shows the kind of class, or at least the potential kind of ability this horse could have. And then we of course didn't see him again for, you know, all year basically. And I even saw a quote or an interview with Brad, and he's like, yeah, like the St. Louis Derby, like he's like, when it looked good and the time and the buyer and all that stuff was great, but he's like, we don't ever run there. And so it was like hard to know what that was, like if that was just a weird track thing or whatever. And then he did it again. He backed it up in the Dwyer and got even higher number that day. And everything was better that day. And it's like, oh no, this was like he's actually this good. And again, like you said, prior to the comp, it was kind of dusted fields. I think this horse could be very, very good as well. And I don't. Some people, I don't know why you would be, but some people, I guess, worried about the distance. I'm not. I don't think the distance is a concern really. I think he's going to sit a nice for hopefully a little bit closer than he was in Lecomte. And honestly, like I'm like I'll give you another horse here in a second. I think the logical question is, which Brad Cox horse do you like? And I don't know. Like I just kind of feel like Japan Street is overhyped because of Sovereignty. He beat Sovereignty that day, and he's always going to have that. But that return racing, again, it wasn't fair to criticize him because it was off a huge layoff. But I don't know. He did, like the horse he beat, Step or whatever. Like that horse sucks, and like it was close, and you kind of like would have liked to have seen a little more kind of margin for a horse that's like otherworldly, as some people like to think. I mean, this horse, Burnham Square beat this horse in the Holy Bull. Like I don't think he's a bad horse. Don't get me wrong, but I think Disco Time could be very, very good. Whereas I would be a little bit surprised if Japan Street is very, very good. I guess that's a good way to say it.
Yeah, I agree. I went back and watched the Florida Derby. It's been so long. I went back and watched the Florida Derby, and you just watch that and go, that was a very good race from Tappan Street. Like I'm not gonna sit here and I thought he ran great, but you just look at that horse that finished behind him and you go, who is that? Like that horse didn't ever look anything like that. Talking about Sovereignty after that, like. Yeah. He just didn't even look like the same horse. And it reminded me of just how much that horse improved, just how good that horse became, because he just didn't run very well that day. And maybe he wasn't cranked, and maybe he didn't have his regular jockey and all that stuff. Like I don't want to rehash it. I understand. And maybe Bill Mott, like that's why we used him in the Derby. It's like for the respect of Bill Mott, and we knew Mott would have him ready to run better in the Derby and beyond, but he just didn't look like the same horse. And again, I thought Tappan Street, I just watched him first, and boy, he looked good, but he didn't look like just the next great horse is how I would put it. Yeah, look, the allowance race last time out, I'm not really worried one way or another. I kind of think it was just like, let's just get him an out. He's working well. I think he's going to run his best race. I just don't know what his best race is. I don't know if it's good enough to beat Disco Time. Maybe it is. Maybe Disco Time is kind of a paper tiger and it's kind of been hyped up winning these easier fields. And maybe he's going to get it into this field and, not do it. That happens sometimes, but I just watch the replays and go, you know what? I just think Disco Time's the better horse. He just looks better. But again, I think it's one of the Cox horses are the most likely winners, the 1 or the 7. And then like I said, if you want to get into White Barrio, your guess is as good as mine. He does love Gulfstream Park, so maybe he fires. I kind of think he's a saver. You got to put him on some saver tickets because we know if he fires his best race, he's right there, if not in the winner's circle.
Yeah, he's a lot like Fierceness in some weird way, where you're like, at least at this particular race and track, where you're like, I don't have a lot of reason to like Fierceness here. I don't think he's going to necessarily do it, but I mean, I just put him in there, right? And White Barrio, I mean, he's 8 for 10 at Gulfstream Park, and let's be honest, going into this race last year, now he's in better form than he was this now. But he wasn't necessarily kind of supposed to win this race. Let's put it that way. And he won the race by almost 7.
Yeah.
Like, and let's be fair, he beat Locked and Skippy Longstock. It's not like he had to beat, but that's not like, what if Disco Time isn't, like you said, is a paper tiger? And what if that Pan Street is kind of what we think? And it's like, well, what did you need to beat here? So I don't have a lot of interest in White Barrio, but I'm also going to use him, if that makes any sense. Like I had to use him. You have to, and I think he's earned enough respect in over the years. I mean, he's won over 7 million. He's got Saffy Joseph knows how to win at Gulfstream Park, certainly. And he's won this race. He won the race last year, so I don't know. It's kind of hard to get away from it. And Irad's rode him many times, but he had all the options, I'm sure, and he's making sure he stays put. So yeah, I think White Barrio, I'd be careful disregarding them.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the race last year. I think he'll win the race, maybe not by 6.5, but I think he'll win the race if he runs that race.
If he runs that race, he'll win this year.
He'll win. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, we have a great horse. Whoever beat him, right, is a really, really good horse. So,
yep.
Yeah, I just don't know that it's as simple as, well, he's at Gulfstream now, we use him. I don't know. Like, and I've hit on him a lot at Gulfstream. I didn't have him last year, to be very honest. It wasn't close to having him last year in the Pegasus World Cup, but I've played that angle with him a lot, and it works. But man, it just feels like he's just beyond done. I mean, we haven't seen him since August of 25. He had to scratch out of the Breeders' Cup. His works really aren't much. It just feels like he's kind of done to me. But again, when he runs his best, very, very tough to beat.
Jeff, the graphic has been the right graphic on my end, so I don't know if maybe you haven't got there yet or something, but you're seeing it, right?
Yeah.
All right. So a horse that I am very fearful of is, as far as beating my disco time, is the 3 Full Serrano. This, as far as class goes, this horse has it, and it's kind of weird to say, he hasn't ran all that much, but has ran in 4 Grade 1 races, and was the defending Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner going into this last year, and of course didn't run great. Let's be honest, that day, but he's ran when he runs. When he runs these kind of these races at 1 1/8 miles, he's ran okay. He's even at 1 1/4 miles. He damn near won the Pacific Classic. Now, is he best at going this long? No, I don't think so. But he's got that danger in him as far as, hey, he's got speed. He's coming to Gulfstream Park. I think it's a pretty good sign that Sadler and Hronis is like, yeah, after that Breeders' Cup, let's bring him in to run in this race and really not be fearful of it. I think he could take this a long ways. Now, I don't know if he can get the job done, but I am fearful that because he's got the class. It's Sadler. He knows how to train. He knows how to win these kind of races. I do think he's in with a shot at a big price on the morning line.
I'm not too worried about him. And it's the distance, the reason why. I keep going back to that race two back in the Goodwood where Nevada Beach beat him. And they beat him soundly, and he beat him without, in my opinion at least, without Full Serrano having much of an excuse. And I just look at that and go, yeah, I don't think Nevada Beach is like a great horse. I think he's good. Like, he's solid. But I just think there's other horses that are better this time around. I think the pace is going to be fairly fast up front. I'm not in love with Full Serrano in this spot. That's one I'm not overly worried about, to be quite honest. And that's famous last words, right? And I'm sure, if you're live going into that last race and you don't have him, you're worried about all of them.
Yeah.
But I kind of think it's too far, and I kind of think the pace doesn't really favor him.
At what point of the race are you going to, when he's in the front and he's cruising on the front, are you going to be like, oh shit? Like, I mean, how far, at what point, like, is it just top of stretch? Are you going to, you think, yeah.
If he turns for home and he's got the lead and he's set decent for easy fractions, yes, then I would think he's, I would still kind of think somebody's going to pass him though, because I've seen it, 2 races ago, but yeah, you would be worried at that point. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think the unknownness is, the knownness is he's got speed, but he also, all right, Pedlo.
He wants to talk about banishing. Let's talk about him.
Yeah, I would say you just tipped us, so we're gonna go. I'm gonna screech the tires. We're stopping. We're going straight to banishing. Can Banishing get the job done? Pedlo seems to think he's going to banish that Cox because, listen, he's been a frustrating horse, right? We've talked every time we talk about a big race, Banishing is in a lot of them, and we basically bring up the same thing where he was in that race with Mindframe and Nisos and the Churchill Downs race, and then he ran, mile and eighth, and then he ran 6.5. Then he ran a mile and eighth again. He ran. He won the Charlestown Classic. He got 12th, beaten by a mile in the sprint. He came back, lost at Oaklawn Park, but he's back. I mean, I don't know. Banishing, he's got the class. Can he get a win in this kind of race, though?
I don't think so. I think it's too long for him. I know he won the Charlestown Classic. That's kind of a different situation. That's how I would describe it, right? I mean, the configuration's different, and I know he won at the distance, but it was there. Lucas Classic at this distance, he was third, beaten 4.5. The Blame back in May, he was fifth, beaten basically 4.5. The Oaklawn Handicap, he was second, beaten 2 lengths. The Razorback was a mile and 16th. He was second in that one. I think he's around. I just don't think he's good enough at this distance to win this race. That's where I'm at with it. I like him. I also think there's just got to be at some point he's going to stop running. They're just running the hell out of this horse. Ever since Jacobson got him back in August of 2024, he runs all the freaking time. Let's see how many since August 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he ran 12. He's ran 17 times. I mean, he runs all the time, and like I said, here's a 6 furlong, here's a 7, here's a 9, here's an 8.5, here's a 6.5, here's a 7. I just kind of think 6 to 7 furlongs on the dirt. That's probably where they just need to keep him. I mean, he's earned it. I mean, he's got class, but I just don't like him in this race.
It's like it was just the most bizarre placing with him all year, just from jump, it was, the Razorback, he ran well. And then he went back to the Oaklawn Mile. Then he went back to the Oaklawn Handicap and, ran well. But then we ran in the 7 furlong sprint, the Churchill, where he ran incredible, right?
And never ran that distance again.
And then what did we do to reward him for that effort, Halterman? We went right back to mile and eighth. And then we went to a mile. And then we went to 6.5. And then, by the way, the biggest race of the year, we went to 6 after going all over. It was just like one race was here, one race, there was no consistency. You felt bad for the horse, really, because and you felt bad for our betting because it's like you never knew. Like, is he a good horse? Yes, I think he's a very good horse. He's won over 1.7 million. No, he's almost 2 million. Holy shit. So I mean, crazy. He's done great. And but yeah, listen, if he wins this, if there's a scenario where Disco Time, isn't, like you said, and Tan Street isn't, I think a lot of these horses could win, and I think he's one of them. So, do I think it's likely? No, but listen, another horse that we need to talk about is when Bob Baffert brings a horse in here, and obviously knows how to win the Pegasus, and that is one of your favorite horses, Madcat Road, Mike Smith, Bob Baffert teaming up here. I don't know. It's famous last words. I'm not concerned at all for this horse. This horse has won one race in 9. Is there one race in 9 starts, Halterman? Has there ever been a horse that's ran in more graded stakes for Bob Baffert? It's like it's amazing he's lasted this long, really.
Yeah, he debuted in a graded stakes, believe it or not. He can't win. That's just it. He just cannot win races. Even the race he won, it was a maiden special weight, and he won by a half length. You know what I mean? So he didn't really blow you away there. He's a very weird one because he kind of is all over the place. He's another one like they tried the Derby Trail, and then they said, okay, well, we'll make him a sprinter, and he's just very average at everything he does. One race he may run 45 to the half or 44 to the half, and then the next race he'll slow it down. And I don't know. Could he, at the Pegasus, we usually see somebody hit the board at a huge number, and maybe it's him. this year. You know, I don't know. For some reason, Poster stands out to me as the horse that's going to finish third. And we're like, damn, that's crazy at 30-1. But anyway, but with Matticat Road, I can't get there. I just can't. He has just been all over the place. He just can't finish, you know? I mean, he's hit the board in 6 out of 9 starts, so he's been around, but every time he hits the board, he's well behind the winner.
He kind of runs the same race
every time.
Yep. You know, he was in the race. He has faced Pan Street and got waxed by him, but yeah, he kind of run, you know, then he kind of shows you enough where you're like, you know, maybe not, you know, it's just like Bob can't quit him. You know, he just keeps running him in these big races. Woody Stevens was probably his best race, you know, outside of, you know, probably was his best race. Let's be honest. The Rebel, he ran well that day. I remember, you know, being like, he's pretty good in the Rebel.
Well, if you remember, the Rebel is the day where he set that blazing pace and got beat.
Yeah. And, you know, and the Woody Stevens, he, you know, finished second to Patch Adams, who went on to win the Jerkins again. And, was obviously running very, very well at that point. So, yeah, you know, it's like he kind of gives you that fool's gold in some regards. But yeah, I honestly didn't consider him much at all in this race, to be honest. So, let's put that horse in the winner's circle. I kind of like Poster as well, as far as being that weird horse that runs up, like, rallies up for second or third, or, you know, hits the board, whatever, because he has been that's kind of been his deal. He's won, you know, he won the Remsen, he won an allowance on the turf, but, you know, he got second last time out. I don't know. He definitely he's not going to quit. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think he's just one of those types. I think the pace is going to be okay, and I think he'll kind of just clunk up there, and I think he'll be around. You know, I think he's a good second, third, fourth place type of horse, honestly. And you know, I thought the race last time out he ran pretty well. He got beat by Skippy Longstocking, who he just fired what he usually does in a grade 3, and it's kind of hard to beat him. But he's kind of been everywhere with this Poster. He's you know, turf, synthetic, dirt, you know, so. He's just kind of that weird horse you look up at the end of the day and go, well, he just kept on running and got third in this race, you know. So I don't think he's a threat to win it, though.
All right, again, get our final plays and our like exactly how we're playing the race, whether it be wins, exactas, trifectas, doubles, anything like that going into this race. You can get that all in the betting Bible over at racingdudes.com. If you haven't, I'll make sure it's linked in this description as well. But Halterman, give me your final thoughts of the race.
Well, look, I think it's going to be a very fascinating race. I think it's if it's, you know, not one of the Cox horses or Wide Barrio, I think it's bombs away. I kind of hope we just, whether it's to Pan Street, whether it's Disco Time, or even if Wide Barrio freaks, I hope we see a good performance. I hope we walk away going, man, that was really good, and maybe there's something for the future of you know, some of these horses.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like it's, because even with Full Serrano, it's like, yeah, I mean, if he wins this race, you're kind of like, I know what he is. Maybe the rest of them aren't that good. He benefited from the pace or kind of stole that one or whatever. It definitely feels like it's going to have to go. And Wide Barrio, it's like, what more does he have to prove other than, you know, I think, again, it would be similar to it's like, oh, the other ones didn't perform. I think it's one of the Cox horses. One of those horses needs to step up and run huge. Yeah, I read that too. Needs to step up and run huge to be like, yeah, that horse is like, who knows what that horse could be. And I think Disco Time for me is that horse. I think he is set up to run a huge race here. I expect him he will, and I hope we get to see a show. So give me the one, Disco Time. Flavian Pratt on the mount for the first time. How about that? This horse has somehow managed to stay undefeated with flow. Now imagine what could happen with Flavian Pratt aboard. So, I mean, listen,
you just gave us the best angle of all at the very end here.
Listen, how often can you say a horse was undefeated under with flow on the mount? You know, so he managed to get by all of that. Now he gets one of the best jockeys in the game, Flavian Pratt, Brad Cox, Flavian Pratt, Juddmonte. What up? What more do you need? Okay, before I end it, he's 8-5 morning line. We talked all about the pricing, right? Like what should somebody that's interested in playing say, okay, I'm buying in, guys, Disco Time. I like it. But 8-5, like what should we expect? What do you think he's going to be?
Well, I hope he's around that. I think he'll go down to about 6 to 5. I do think Tapan Street and Waidabaria are going to take enough money to keep him somewhat decent, though, because look, people love Tapan Street, and I get it. I'm not, looking down on you. I totally understand if you like him, and people like Waidabaria, and I get that as well. So I think you should. I don't. If this horse should not be even money, I think Disco Time 6-5, 7-5, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I would imagine Japan Street's like, I mean, you think he goes down to like 3-1?
I think so. Yeah.
Kind of feel like so too.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're both on Disco Time. Let's do it, buddy. All right, let's. I needed Kevin in here today. He would. That's been our horse,
That's
he
right.
loves that horse. Let's see. Let me pull up the race for tomorrow here.
Even that St. Louis Derby, I mean, that is what it is, right? But he did look really good. Like, there's never been a horse that good on that track. I can promise you that.
You almost have to I know you love that track. Well, you don't really love it, but it's like it's close near us or whatever. Yeah. But you're like, you want to double. Like, really? Where was that? Like, why? Why were you there? Yeah. And yeah, he certainly maybe go down to the best horse to ever run there.
I don't think there's any doubt. And Cox's comment kind of makes you laugh. Well, we don't really run there, so we didn't know how it was. It was like, well, you had other places. Like, you didn't have to take him there. But
yeah, like, why were you there? It's a better question. Makes you think that you didn't thought the horse was a piece of shit.
Right. Yeah, Rattle and Roll did win the St. Louis Derby. Hey, he turned out to be all right.
Yeah.
But if Disco Time doesn't surpass that, then that would be disappointing. But maybe it won't.
All right, the Kentucky Derby Trail is, I would say it's heating up for sure. It's definitely going to heat up after this weekend, but we do actually have one quote-unquote official Kentucky Derby prep race this weekend, and we're going to use that as kind of a way to look at that race a little bit. We won't go through it in full detail, but more so like kind of the implications of it moving forward. And then also there's one other race we wanted to go through on the weekend that I think could have some sort of implications, but it's overseas. It's made on the UAE 2000 Guineas, 20 points to the winner towards the Kentucky Derby. So there you go. 20 points for the winner, 2010, 6-4 and 2. Again, it's overseas. You've got 52-1 here on the outside. Always funny to see the odds, but Devon Island, Appleby, William Buick, 5-2. Could this be one of the international horses that people need to know?
It feels like it. I'll be quite honest. If not for our fantasy league, I would not have given this a look. But it is worth 10-5-2-1 in our fantasy league, and I thought, well, claims are free this year. I'm going to claim somebody, and so I claimed 6 Speed, and Paul claimed Devon Island, and I think they're the two horses to beat. I mean, the Devon Island horse, very nicely bred. 6 Speed, also very nicely bred as well. Those are the two that I know, the two that I've looked at, to be quite honest with you. I don't really think this is going to have any impact in the Kentucky Derby, but
it will have impact on the trail. Let's put it that way.
They both are bred very well, and they both have United States breeding. And like with 6 Speed, by not this time, out of a Medaglia d'Oro mare, if that horse was over here and had shown anything at all, we would be pretty excited, right? So that's kind of how I looked at 6 Speed. Devon Island is an into mischief. The bottom side isn't quite as, flashy, but they're bred in Kentucky. They both have their eyes on the Kentucky Derby. That much I know because I've done the research on them. Like I said, if not for the fantasy league, I wouldn't have researched this at all. But they both kind of want to come over here. So let's see what they do. Like I said, Devon Island 5-2, 6 Speed 6-1. It's a field of 16 freaking horses. I wasn't expecting that many when I claimed. So
what could go wrong?
I'll be quite honest. I typed into Google who will be the favorite of the UAE 2000 Guineas, and it said 6 Speed. He's not the freaking favorite, but he did enter. And then Paul told me a little bit about Devon Island when he claimed him. So it is what it is.
Well, I'd say, it's because you're going to have whoever, whether it be both of those horses or whoever wins this and that one of those horses or whatever, likely going to the UAE Derby as well, right? You know, you got to assume you're going to see them over there maybe one more time. We'll see, right? Depends on who wins, I guess. But yeah, it's hard to get too excited about these until you see how they do. Has either one 6-speed or Devon Island, especially the Appleby horse, have they ran on the dirt before? Or is this
Okay, so Devon Island, I didn't claim him, so I don't know anything about him. Six
Yeah.
speed, I know a lot okay, because
tell us about this horse.
Okay, so when I Googled who's going to be the favorite in this race, and they lied and they said 6-speed, now I at least know something that's going to enter. He's not bad. He won the local prep race for this. He got to the front. A horse came up next to him and almost passed him. And then he kind of, once that horse got there, he galloped away from him. I don't know how big the margin was, 2 or 3 lengths, let's say, but he won pretty nicely. So he's been running on the dirt. I believe 3 starts, 2 wins, if I remember correctly. But the local prep right here over this racetrack, he got challenged. He re-rallied. He got the job done. You know, I watched the replay of that race and thought, yeah, he's not very good, but he might win this next one, so let's claim him. But I did like how he kind of re-rallied in that race. So, look, he's really well bred. He should go long. Maybe he goes to the race like UAE Derby. I don't know. But 6-speed, certainly been running on the dirt and feels like a decent enough horse.
Yeah, it looks like Devon Island has ran on the dirt. Let's see. It's always hard to look at these when you're looking at overseas forms. Ran at Kempton, which I imagine was on the turf. But the last 2 have been at Maidan.
Okay.
And I believe, I think those were on the main track there, I think. Okay. Yeah, so there you go.
Well, Devon Island's definitely the one that's got like it's Godolphin, it's Appleby. That one feels like the one that's going to win, to be completely honest.
The horse is 2 for 3. One was a second. His ran well, so at a mile both times. How far is this one?
This one's a mile.
Okay. Well,
and look, if Google would have told me this was going to be the favorite, I would have claimed this one, but it didn't. It told me the other one. So,
well, hey, listen, you know what? You can't trust AI anymore at all. So,
nope.
All right, we won't talk too much about this one. We'll go to another race here. I obviously wanted to. This race, by the way, guys, is Friday. So,
yes.
So not Saturday. So Friday racing,
and I believe it's Friday at like 8 a.m. Central. I want to say.
Let's see if it's showing on there. It gives me it's 12:35 p.m. whatever time that is.
Okay, I think
you probably know more than I do. So.
I thought Paul told me it was 8:05, but maybe he meant 8. Maybe he said 8:35 now. Okay, it doesn't matter. I think it's in the morning. I know that.
We'll just tell you what happened. How about that? And listen to the show next week whenever we talk about how Halterman's claim is no longer on his team. So
right. Even if the horse wins, it's probably not going to be on my team. So
speaking of horses that probably won't be on anyone's team after this, let's go to the race 7 on Sunday, not Friday, not Saturday, but Sunday at Gulfstream Park. Race 7, though. This is, again, pay attention to this one. This one, at least, is going to be very fun to watch. It should be. Maiden special weight. They're going a mile, and it is highlighted by some incredible breeding. Now, at the end of the odds aren't out, but I guess based on the hype, the one Spartacus for Todd Pletcher will be probably the favorite here. The full sibling to Nest, so that's going to get a ton of hype. But there's a lot of siblings or relatives of good horses that are in this race. You got Hickman Creek. Audubon looks good. Canaletto looks good for Chad Brown. Lots to look at, especially these are some lookers in this race. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I'm almost just as excited to see these horses on Sunday, as I am for the whole Pegasus day. Because I mean, this is going to be a who's who of pedigree. Like I said, Spartacus, full brother to Nest, Hickman Creek, a half brother to Laurel River, and Canaletto, who is a half brother to Sandman. I don't know if that is good or bad, but he does not have the Tappet craziness. He does have Into Mischief on the top, so that could help. Look, I think this is going to be awesome. I have heard so much hype on Spartacus, and if you missed it, this is the horse that John White drafted on draft night. The horse did not have a name when he drafted him, and then Spartacus turns out to be the name, which is a fantastic name. Unbelievable breeding here. And look, I think Hickman Creek looks like a horse that could win first out, just kind of based on breeding and based on how the horse is working. Canaletto, I've heard the least amount about, but it's a $1 million purchase. So I would say there's expectations. I don't know if the horse can run or not. Haven't heard a ton. I think looking at the workout pattern, I think Canaletto looks really good, but that's just me. But Spartacus is the one I've heard the most about, no doubt about it. And look, John and Ryan claimed a horse earlier, and they dropped a horse running in a points race and kept Spartacus. So that's kind of, tips their hand how they think about Spartacus. They're really excited about him. So we'll see what happens. I'm very excited to see how this thing unfolds.
Yeah, this at the very least is gonna. Unless just like one of the a huge price wins this race and it's just a disaster, then I'd say it's as long as it's one of these big ones that we're kind of hyping up, they're gonna become like one of the bigger kind of prospects as far as like potential prospects that we have right now. They just are, because of the way they're bred. The connections are there. You got Pletcher, you got Brad Cox, you got Chad Brown. There's, you don't need any introduction to those. Juddmont is the homebred. Hickman Creek is the Juddmont. You got all the connections. So it's like, if one of these does kind of freak, they're going to become top prospects on the Derby Trail. And that's why whenever, we claimed this horse, Hickman Creek, it was like, well, I mean, yeah, it's, you sometimes, normally we wouldn't have, but when it's free claims, you're like, hey, I mean, if this horse does win, this horse is going to be like, it's going to be a 9-way shake, right? Or whatever, how many are in the league. So it's like, yeah, you might as well try to get ahead of it. The biggest question, well, obviously we couldn't do with Spartacus, but the biggest question is, which one is it going to be? And it very well could be Spartacus, and Hickman Creek does run well, or whoever, and you're like, well, Spartacus might have just won the Derby with that effort. So it'll be fun to watch. I'm with you. I'm just as excited for this as I am the Pegasus.
Yeah, no, I am too. And this is when Paul told me this race was going on, I was like, oh man, I was kind of planning on not going to the track on Sunday and just kind of having a beach day. I was like, well, I guess we're going to be there now, because this is just a lot of fun. And it's just not often you get multiple siblings of horses that have been pretty good, grade 1 winners. Part of me is like, I hope John and Ryan don't have a good one here with Spartacus, because I'm competitive. But the other part of me is like, Ness was one of my favorite horses, and so I would love to see her full brother be really good in this spot. I also think it's interesting that the 1 and the 9 pretty much have the same ownership. So why would you debut them together? Kind of makes me think maybe one's good and one's not a little bit. I don't know about that. That's going to be very interesting to see what happens there as well. Yeah, it's exciting though. It's a really exciting race.
Well, when you're coming to the, you're getting to, the end of January now, and you're kind of out of time for these horses that have, if you're trying to get to the Derby, and obviously with these kind of bloodlines and connections and whatnot, they're trying to get to the Derby. And, being maiden special weight end of January, you might be, if you're like in your case, in your point, you might be like, well, hey, I think Spartacus is better, but shit, we got to see what we have here, and then run them, and then figure out what you can do from there. But yeah, it'll be fun to watch. Again, this is race 7, 3:21 Eastern time on Sunday. So we got obviously, conference championship games on Sunday as well. A bunch of us will probably be snowed in on Sunday, but make sure we're watching this race, because this will be a pretty good indicator, at least for potential down the Derby Trail. So anything else, Halterman? I know, we don't have a lot this weekend. What's coming up on the Derby Trail?
Well, yeah, I mean, it heats up in a major way next weekend. We got 3 preps next weekend, the Withers, the Holy Bull, and the Southwest. So that's what's coming up next. Like I said, that's all going to be January 31st. I think we'll see some good stuff there. And then when we get into February, you get the Robert B. Lewis and the Sam F. Davis to kick it going February 7th. And then the first major 50-point race, the Risen Star, February 14th. So we'll have our eyes on that. But that's going to be the first big prep. But yeah, I think Holy Bull Southwest Withers next weekend is going to be extremely interesting.
And is your horse Paladin is going to the Risen Star, correct?
Correct. That's at least that's what I heard last. Risen Star is going to be the race, and I would imagine Golden Tempo will be there as well to match up with him. Among Baby Jackson Hole comes back to Fairgrounds as well. So Risen Star, it kind of, since they've kind of stretched the distance out to 1.8 miles that race, it's been pretty good. So I expect a good race.
There you go. So yeah, let's enjoy the Pegasus on Saturday. Sunday we'll go right to that maiden special weight, and then from there, it's on the Kentucky Derby Trail heating up. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for us. If you want to see more, go over racingdudes.com. Again, Pegasus Betting Bible is available right now over at the website. Hard to miss. It's on the homepage. Click the button if you want to get that. It is all over the site. Go get your hands on that. My picks, Halterman's picks, everybody over at racingdudes.com. Their top 4 plays. John White's got his plays in the mix as well. So anything you need to help cash more on Pegasus World Cup Day, we are the resource. So go over to the website and learn more. Remember, we're on Twitter at race_dudes, Instagram, Facebook. All episodes of Blinkers Off can be found over at the website, or if you Apple Podcasts, anywhere you like to listen to. Make sure you go to YouTube, hit that like notification, and subscribe. Helps us out a lot. Magic Mike's show is on tomorrow, today. I don't know. I saw they were scheduled.
They are done. They went, I believe they started at 1:30 Central, so you can actually go listen to that right now.
Okay. Yeah, they actually know how to do a show in an hour. We don't ever. So they're done. But let's see what else we got this weekend. Oh, Halterman, he'll be there. So if you're going to be around, I know we have had a few people email us that said they're going to be there. If you are going to be around, make sure you, send us a message, email us, send us a message on social media, whatever. And maybe you can maybe get a drink bought for Halterman.
Yeah, I have no idea where we're going to be yet. But
gift seats?
No.
I mean, I didn't. We would never, but no. You're with the women. I didn't know. Maybe you did.
No, I don't know. I don't know where we're going to set up. I would imagine if you go to that, and what is that beach area, kind of, the sand, and there's a hut over there. It'd probably be around there somewhere, if I had to guess.
Like in the first turn, right?
Yes. Yeah. We go into the first turn. You walk through the, and you go take a right. Yeah. We'll be right over there, I would imagine. I don't know that for sure, but I would imagine.
Just look for hey, that looks like a really good drink bar area, whatever. And then just kind of peruse around and listen to Halterman's voice, and you might be able to find them.
Yeah, I'll be. I'll definitely. I would imagine by this time, Saturday, it would be a fun conversation to have with me. So come talk.
It's true. I guarantee it would be, because if I was there, it certainly would be as well. So, let's see what else. Oh, who you like? Who you liking in the weekend's games? The conference championships. Who you going with?
I'm afraid, the New England-Denver game really got ruined, so I don't think that'll be a very good game. I think New England wins. I'm going with Seattle, but that's going to be an interesting game. I think that's a real toss-up. It's been a weird series. The first time they played, the Rams won, but I felt like Seattle was a better team. The second time Seattle won, but I felt like the Rams were the better team. So I don't know. I'm going to go Seattle, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I mean, I probably still would have picked the Patriots even with Bo Nix. I'll be honest. So, I like Patriots here. They're -4.5 currently, -2.5 for the Seahawks. By the way, the game of the weekend for me was the Bears and Rams game. That was just phenomenal. And Caleb Williams, man, that dude, that throw was one of the most insane throws you'll ever see ever. And just that game was just awesome. It hit everything. And honestly, then one of the worst throws you'll ever see, on the interception in overtime. So it's just kind of one of those things. But dude, they were like on the 20-yard, 15-yard line. I don't know where they were actually at. And he threw the ball from the 40, backpedaling, just fade away, and hit the guy. Just could not have been a perfect. And then watching it live, I was like, oh, he had to have pushed off, because and then you watch it, like, no, it was just so I don't know. Anyways, so
Well,
I like the Rams though. I do like the Rams. I like the Rams in that game. Seattle defense, man, they're that good.
yeah, I agree. I think Seattle's the most complete team. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl, and it's crazy to think that could happen. But man, it just feels it. And I'll tell you this on Caleb Williams. Last thing on him, and you can take this and do whatever you want with it. And I have the same kind of skepticism about him as everybody else. But out of all the quarterbacks I ever watched at Oklahoma, and I've watched, Hurts, Murray, Baker. You want to throw Spencer Rattler in there, you can. Williams threw a ball once, and it was like a 40-yard just dart. And it was his first start at home. Second, it was the first game right after the Texas game where he came in, his first actual start. And I looked, and it was a touchdown, 40-yard touchdown. I looked at my dad, and I was like, I've never seen a ball like that. And he's like, I haven't either. It was just he just flicked the wrist. It's just a rope. And his natural talent is greater than anything I've watched ever in person. But he has his issues as well. But he has more natural ability than anybody I've ever watched. But it's just kind of getting that mental aspect where it needs to be. That's going to be the challenge.
Well, I think, again, you can do whatever you want with this, but I do feel like, why he drew a ton of comparisons to Mahomes coming into the pros was like kind of his playmaking ability, like this run around the pocket, making things happen. And it really showcased itself, I feel like, in the playoffs in the fourth quarter, which is a lot of times what Mahomes does, right? Like, he makes things happen when the chips are stacked up against you and all these things. And, and I think having someone that knows how to call offensive plays helped this year for sure. He's gotten a lot better this year, Caleb has. But it's those like fourth quarter, game on the line, need to have it. Well, it's like the game against Green Bay where they came back and just that was like an aspect to Caleb that was like, oh, okay, he is like a real, like he could be a player in the league now, like not just, you know what I mean? Like he has that ability to win games when they, like that you have to have, and a lot of those quarterbacks don't have it.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud doesn't have it.
No. When Caleb came out of high school, he was number one recruit, and that was the biggest thing is what you're talking about is what they said about him. It's like they've won, I don't think they lost the whole time he started quarterback in high school, and he made some like miracle comebacks, and he made some miracle comebacks at Oklahoma as well. And USC, it felt like that kind of went away, and he got that last year at USC was just like, man, this guy's a weird guy, and he's still a weird guy. He's a strange individual, but if he can just kind of mentally get there, and he's got plenty of time, this is a young guy, he could be really good. But that being said, he got beat and he's not there. And look, Drake May has struggled, but I think he's kind of been that guy in the regular season. Maybe he can get going. And the other side, it's going to maybe be Sam Darnold. So that's very interesting as well. We could get Sam Darnold versus Jarrett Stidham in the Super Bowl. That is possible that could happen.
That is, what was it? What was it? The coach, he called him something like Stiddy or something like that. And everyone was like, oh shit, maybe he is good.
He's not.
Because Peyton was like, oh, Stiddy, I feel, and everyone's like, oh shit, he's got a nickname. Oh, wow. Like this guy might be, but no, I love Drake May. I do agree. He's now to be fair, he's had to play some pretty damn good defenses these games, but there's been moments like in those games, especially in like say the Texans game where you're like, he looks like, what are you doing? Like have some sort of pocket presence, please. And then in other regards, like he just throws like a 40-yard dime and it's a touchdown. So he's got those things. I just trust him more. And I trust the kind of the whole team, the defense. I think the defense gets overlooked big time.
I agree with that. The defense has been really good, and that's not good for Stidham.
Stiddy, we call him Stiddy.
He just hasn't thrown a pass in forever, and even when he did play, Not good. Sam Ellinger's the third string. That's not good either. Hadn't thrown a pass in a long time. I think Stidham is the type of guy, like if you need to play him like 3 or 4 games in the regular season and the matchups are kind of okay, I think he can get you like 2 of those 4 wins and kind of extend your season and kind of make it to where it's not a total disaster when the starter's gone. But I mean, this is just not a guy you want in this game. I mean, it's just that simple. And he's not even one of those backups where you're like, you know what, he'll be okay. It's just kind of like, yeah, he sucks. We know he sucks. Like you're just gonna have to try to protect him and try to win with the defense, and maybe they can.
Yeah, it's I guess the plus sides, if there is, or the it's like, okay, well, he's got one of the better O lines in the league in front of him. They have a run game. They have a great defense. If he can just be, if they like look at CJ Stroud. If he could have been like bad, they probably win again, or at least it's close. Yeah. Right. Like he was. So all you got to do is just keep it safe, and you're going to probably stay in the game because you've got that defense and you know, they won a lot of games this year for a reason other than I guess Bo Nix. But yeah, it's going to be tough. Manlo, do you have any Sam Darnold rookie cards you've been holding on to all these years? Because they are very like, who would ever, like, usually like you never assume like Sam Darnold's a guy you're investing in or whatever, and like here we are. He's 2 games away from being a Super Bowl champion. So
yeah, it just shows you that you know, wins and losses not a quarterback stat as much as we want to make him that, and also you know, being in a good system, how big of a difference that makes when you're not on the Jets or the Panthers. It does make a big difference. And you know, lastly, I think we need to root for New England. Because here's the deal. It's one thing to win with a backup quarterback. You're at home, a lot of emotions. Maybe you can get a turnover or 2. Super Bowl is going to get real ugly if Denver's in it with this quarterback. We kind of need to root for New England.
Oh boy. Well, not just that. Like I think it just would have a ton of like people just like tuning out of it. You know, like it's not going to have any of the appeal of a backup quarterback. You know, I know it happened with Foles, and that was you know whatever 1 year, but.
This ain't Foles.
No, this ain't Foles. Foles was a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So yeah, I think I think Patriots. Yeah, that's gonna be a rematch of whatever year that was when they played last, and you know, I do think it at least is gonna have some sort of hype going into it because of Drake May and the offense and what they've done with that first turn. I mean, what a turnaround. Yeah. I mean, if they could make it to the Super Bowl after being whatever they were, 3 wins they had last year or whatever, Vrabel's done a phenomenal job with that team, and obviously Seattle and the way they just fucking destroyed the 49ers. I mean, it's embarrassing what they do to teams. So like they scored 40, and you look at the stats, you're like, how did they score 40? Like
I know.
No one, like Jason didn't have a huge game, Darnold didn't have a huge game. They just pound the rock. Their defense is just unbearable. Yeah, so it'll be fun to watch. But yeah, I got Seattle and Patriots this weekend. I think they both cover, by the way. So don't you think like that Seattle line, I think it's like 2.5 or something. I kind of like that.
Well, first game it was a 2-point game. The second game was a 1-point game. It's a divisional game, and
I know.
I like it, but I get why it is where it is.
The other one being 4 or whatever, 4.5. I like that one a lot too. So.
I like that one because I don't know. Maybe I'm not giving Stidham enough credit. I just don't see how they can keep it that close for 4 quarters.
I mean, I know it's. I mean, the Chiefs were trying to lose and almost beat the Broncos not that long ago. I mean, I know it's different. I know, like, you know, you got the division, and so those are always weird games and whatever. But still, it's like I've said it all year. I don't think Denver is. I don't think they're 1 seed good, and you know the AFC's just been weird this year, and you know they beat the Bills. Although the Bills fans aren't over that one yet, I wouldn't be either. But here we are. So, all right, Alterman, that's going to do it for us. Any lasting thoughts before we leave here?
No, I think it's a great weekend. Everybody have a good time. Everybody stay as safe as you possibly can with this weather. Hopefully, it doesn't hit as hard as they're saying, and everybody will be all right. But enjoy the weekend. Great racing, great football, and we'll see you back here next week for the Derby Trail.
6 or 7 inches. That's what I'm predicting for this weekend, and that's just coming from the Manlow house.
Right.
That's not. I was not snow related, but anyways. Until next time, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Halterman, you have fun at the Pegasus. Mm-hmm. Good luck this weekend and stay safe.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.